in that drive. It's very beautiful between here and there. Again, my name is Scott Higginbotham. This is Elizabeth Finn. Crawford.
Crockett.
Crockett.
Like David Crockett.
I was close. Her email's Elizabeth Finn. That's what got me, because I just sent an email. We are here today, and you get the ability that I've given this presentation a couple of times, and so people have given me some feedback, so I've taken out the things that they're not interested in and added some things that they're interested in. So hopefully I'll be able to answer everybody's questions, but if not, speak up, raise your hand, and I'll do my best to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to tell you a wrong answer. I'll go find the right answer and come back and give that to you, because I'd rather give you the right answer 2 days from now than give you the wrong answer now. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about genetic testing for cancer. I'm going to answer 3 questions. What is it? What are we here today for? What's this going to cost me? And how's this going to benefit me or my family? That's what I found that people are interested in on this topic. So we'll jump right into it. Genetic testing for cancer. What is it? First thing let's do is let's talk about cancer. I'll give you the legal definition, of the Webster's definition. Cancer is a group of diseases involving abnormal cell growth with the potential to invade or spread to other parts of the body. Basically what that means is that's nasty. We don't want to hear the word cancer. Nobody wants to hear the doctor say cancer. Nobody wants to hear a family member say cancer. It's just something that we don't want to hear, but it's something in this day and age that we deal with. I don't know many families that don't have somebody that has been affected by cancer in some way. That's just something that's out there, and with everything going on in the environment today, with food hormones and chemicals and those type of things, it's becoming more and more prevalent. Genetic testing. Now, genetic testing has been around for many, many years, and as with most things that happens, they come up with advances, and so it gets better and it gets better and it gets better, and they narrow it down, and they same thing with this genetic testing for cancer. Some of the genetic tests that have been out there marketed a lot are the 23andMe and things like that to determine your heritage, where your family came from. Did they come from Old England? Did they come from Australia, Russia? Where was your family makeup from? Those type things are out there now. And so the genetic testing is evolving and advancing. And so they have just started recently doing the genetic testing for cancer, because Medicare and Medicaid have recently approved this for them to pay for the test. A once-in-a-lifetime test paid for by Medicare and Medicaid. Now in 2019, based upon historical averages, 1,735,000 people are going to be diagnosed with cancer this year. That's a lot of people, a lot of cancer. Now, according to cancer.org, over 600,000 of those people will die from cancer. Or not those people, over 610,000 people will die from cancer in 2019 alone. So what that equates to is 1 out of every 3 people that are diagnosed with cancer wind up dying from cancer. So with that in mind, there's 2 out of 3 people beat cancer. Either they got good genes, they get lucky, but the number 1 way to beat cancer, early detection, early treatment. If you can find that and get that treatment early, then you double your odds of beating cancer. Now, what is it? Genomic testing, there's 2 types. There's hereditary cancer and then farsagenomics, which we're not going to talk about farsagenomics that much, because that gets into a lot of stuff that we don't need to talk about, but just to let you know what that is that's a test that they also do for genetic. It will let you know which medicines work best for your genetic makeup. If you've been to the doctor and he's prescribed you lisinopril for your high blood pressure in a certain dosage, and you go back 2 months later and now he prescribes metoprolol or HCTZ, what he's doing is he's checking off the list and trying to find which medication is going to work best for you and your genetic makeup and dosage. They now have a test that they can tell you, and you take that to your doctor, and So Cinepril's not going to work for me based upon my genetic makeup. But what we're going to talk about is the CGX testing, hereditary cancer screening. A person's unique genes tell a very important story about the risk of cancer and other illnesses. And as we just talked about a minute ago, almost everyone has been affected by someone who has been diagnosed or have passed away from cancer. Now, in order to qualify, how do I qualify in order to take the CGX, the hereditary cancer screening? Well, you have to be on Medicare or Medicaid, first off. Second off, you either have to have cancer, be a cancer survivor, or have relatives with cancer, whether it be parent, sister, brother, or children, grandparent, uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, grandchildren, great-grandparents, great-uncles, great-aunts, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and first cousins. Now, you've got to have two of those people on the same side of the family. So if your mom's side of the family, you got an aunt and a grandmother that have two types of cancers or been diagnosed with cancer, then you can qualify and Medicare will pay for the exam. If you have on your mother's side, her mom, and on your father's side, his father, that's two people, but it's not the same side of the family. So that Medicare would not cover the cost of that. Now, what cancers or genetic testing, what does it cover? What are they looking for? Well, some cancers are not hereditary. Lung cancer, brain cancer are not hereditary. But the hereditary cancers that they will cover for breast cancer, colorectal cancer, endocrine, kidney and renal, melanoma, ovarian, pancreatic, prostate, stomach, and uterine. That's still a lot of cancers that they will cover for that test. So if you have anybody in your family that has been diagnosed with those type of cancers, you may be genetically predisposed for that particular type of cancer. Now, the second question, what does this cost me? We just talked about that. If you have Medicare or Medicaid and you've got a family history of cancer, Medicare, Medicaid, one-time test, once in a lifetime, will allow you to take this test of no charge to you. Now, the final question that I said I was going to cover is, how's this going to benefit me and how's this going to benefit my family? Quick little story from my part. When I started looking at this and started going into it, obviously the first thing I went to is my family, because I wanted to know some history. I thought I knew the history, but I don't. And if you don't ask, you don't know. So I went to my mom. And if you can't tell, I've got a pronounced Southern accent, so I'm originally a South Georgia boy. I blame that on my mom because she was born in Atlanta and I just picked it up from her. But also being part of the South, I've got two parents and two sets of grandparents. And one of the big identifying factors in a Southern family is they got, each set of grandparents have different names. On my mom's side, it was grandmother and granddaddy, and on my dad's side, it was grandma and grandpa. So I went to my mom, and I said, well, listen, I said, I'm kind of passionate about this, and I'm working with some other people in the cancer industry, and I don't think that we have any cancer on our side of the family. Now, here's why. It's because your mom, my grandmother, had Alzheimer's. My great-grandmother, who we called Mamaw, also had Alzheimer's. That's how they passed. Now, your dad passed of a massive heart attack. His mom, who we call Stokesy, she passed of a stroke. So I said, I don't know that there's anybody that has cancer on your side of the family. And she said, well, actually, your grandmother, my mom, had ovarian cancer at the age of 30. And I was shocked because I had never heard this, but here I am, 48 years of age, and I'm just now finding out that my grandmother had ovarian cancer at the age of 30. And so I said, well, Mom, don't you think that your granddaughter, my daughter, who is now 23 years of age, needs to know that? And she said, yeah, she does. But it was just something that never popped up. My mom was less than 10 years old when that happened. It's just something that never came back up and never materialized. So my mom took this exam. We're still waiting on the results. But I'm interested to know what that is, because I want my daughter to know that she needs to take that and go to her primary care physician in hopes of saving her life. Hopefully it comes back negative and we don't have that particular trait or genealogy in our family. but it's something that I want to know for my kids. I got a 24-year-old son and a 23-year-old daughter, and I want them to know if we have a genetic predisposition for certain types of cancers. Because as we talked about earlier, what's the best way to beat cancer? Early detection. And getting this test and knowing that you and your family are predisposed to one of those 8 or 9 different types of cancers can help save, maybe not your life, but might help save your children's life or your grandchildren's life or your great-grandchildren's life. And that's what I told my mom when I looked at this test. I said, you know, Mom, you're getting lumped up there now. She's 68. And I said, I don't like thinking about you not being here because we just don't want to do that for our family. But this could be a legacy. You can take this exam and leave a legacy that you've helped save somebody in our family because you've taken this test and it came back that we're either not genetically predisposed to any types of cancers or we're genetically predisposed for certain types of cancers. And so I want to be able to take that exam to my kids and to my primary care physician and say, Doc, my mom took this test, and so we're predisposed to colon cancer. I need to, let's take a test, let's do something. And if it comes back like that, my son is 24, and if it comes back and we have colon cancer, or not have colon cancer, but be genetically predisposed to it, maybe he goes and gets his colonoscopy at the age of 30 rather than wait until 50 and they catch it. That's the type of legacy that can be left by taking this genetic test. Now, if the test comes back and you are genetically predisposed, that does not mean you have cancer. It doesn't mean that you're going to get cancer. It just means that you are at a higher risk of developing that type of cancer. Now, I've got a young lady that I normally bring with me who runs the Joanna Francis Living Well Foundation in Tallahassee. It's a foundation that helps women with breast cancer. I had somebody ask a question in one of the meetings, and I'm glad she was here because I'm not as smart as she is. And they asked, well, if we're genetically predisposed to cancer, what are the percentages that our family or somebody in our family is going to get that particular cancer, and what role does the environment play in that? And I was a deer in headlights. I had no idea. So I'm glad she was there and was able to answer that. And so this is what she said. If you come back and you're genetically predisposed to a certain, let's just say colon cancer, it's a 50-50 chance that you or somebody in your family is going to develop colon cancer because you're genetically predisposed to it. Now, what role does the environment play in that? The environment will only increase those odds. We don't know to what percentage because you're talking about different things. If you're eating hormone-fed chicken, hormone-fed beef, if you were exposed to asbestos, or if you were exposed to chemicals, all of those things are what they were referring to as the environment, and it increases those chances. But there again, you take the results of this test back to your primary care physician, and they can help facilitate early treatment, early detection, changes in lifestyle, certain things that they can recommend to hopefully catch or early detect cancer so it winds up saving somebody's life in your family. Now, where do we go from here? This test is non-invasive, meaning nobody's going to stick your finger, nobody's going to stick your veins, anything. All it is a 30-second swab of your mouth to collect the DNA. It's put in a vial, it's sent to the lab runs the tests, and a doctor will call you and go over the results with you. Because they're not, what they don't want to do is they want to send that report to you, because I've seen one of those reports, and it's literally like reading Greek. Because there's so much stuff in there. When lawyers get involved and companies get involved, they have to put certain things in there to protect themselves. Well, this is no different than anything else. They're protecting themselves, and so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the doctor calls and goes over it with you. And what I have offered, and what I don't mind doing, is my name, phone number, and email address on the bottom of those postcards. Is that if you get that call, and that doctor goes over those things, and you don't understand it, and it doesn't make sense to you, call me, I'll come back, we'll call the doctor or a different doctor, and I'll make sure that we understand what those results are. If you say